Documentary: Positioning for the Minimum, Gold, Silver, and the New Control Grid, 2025 to 2045. Planners don't need an ice age to change the rules. A single decade of elevated space weather risk, or even the talk of a grand solar minimum, is enough to harden grids, centralize rails, and securitize resources. Science says a true grand minimum would barely dent warming, but it would push governments to prioritize resilience, satellites, timing systems, and the power grid. Central banks are quietly rebuilding monetary lifeboats. For the third year in a row, they added over 1,000 tons of gold in 2024 and another 244 tons in the first quarter of 2025. That locks value inside state vaults while households are steered toward digital rails. Silver is the quiet workhorse. The Silver Institute expects a fifth consecutive market deficit in 2025, with industrial fabrication on track to surpass 700 million ounces. Solar panels, electronics, and electric vehicles drive this surge. Even after thrifting, PV cells still consume 9.6 to 15 milligrams of silver per watt, and 2024 cell production alone used around 8,600 tons of silver one, about 28% of world supply. Most silver isn't mined as silver, it's a byproduct of lead, zinc, copper, and gold, making quick supply expansion nearly impossible. Export controls are now standard policy tools. China placed permit controls on gallium, germanium, and graphite. Indonesia's nickel ban continues. Mexico nationalized lithium in 2022. Meanwhile, the European Union passed the Critical Raw Materials Act with 2030 targets: 10% extraction, 40% processing, and 25% recycling capacity, plus less than 65% dependence on any single country. In Washington, the national defense stockpile is being rebuilt. The GAO flagged gaps in risk controls and funding. The Defense Department's 2024 National Defense Industrial Strategy pushes resilience, recycling, and funding through the Defense Production Act. New recovery and recapture programs are underway. CBDCs are the new control layer. As of 2025, 137 jurisdictions are exploring them, with 49 pilots running. In times of crisis, they are framed as efficient: instant disaster relief, targeted subsidies, and anti-fraud rails. But they also enable programmable taxes, benefits, and capital controls. After the May 2024 G5 storm, the strongest in 2 decades, utilities and satellite operators rushed to harden infrastructure. Transformers are being reinforced against geomagnetic currents. Backup timing systems like eLORAN are revived. As deficits continue, governments introduce priority of use regimes. Defense, grid stability, semiconductors, and medical systems come first. Consumer markets come last. Silver policy matures. Governments back offtake agreements for PV and defense suppliers. Procurement rules require secure source silver paste. Early end-of-life panel recycling begins, reclaiming silver from retired solar farms. By the early 2030s, CBDCs shift from pilot to rails. Government-to-person transfers, benefits, refunds, subsidies are delivered only through CBDC wallets. Framed as efficiency and scarcity, they tighten digital dependence. By 2030, water stress expands worldwide. Displaced populations already exceeded 123 million by 2024 and continue to rise. Export bans and mega projects like interbasin transfers become the new geopolitical battleground. Cycle 25 peaked in 2024-25. Cycle 26 minimum arrives in the early 2030s. Governments use the lull to overhaul substations, satellites, and timing systems before the next solar ramp. If mining and recycling don't catch up, priority access becomes permanent. Rationing is normalized policy, not emergency reaction. Export bans and tech controls rotate through supply chains. Photovoltaics keep scaling. Per watt silver use drops, but total tonnage grows. Panel take-back and recovery industries mature. Because silver is a byproduct, price spikes do not instantly increase supply. Offtakes and strategic inventories remain standard. By mid-century, finance is fractured. Gold-heavy reserve blocks, CBDC zones, and mineral clubs raise friction in global trade. Global debt, already 93% of GDP in 2024 and projected near 100% by 2030, bakes in funding squeezes. By the mid-2030s, new solar cycles turn lessons into law. Transformer specs, GNSS redundancy, and insurance clauses against solar events become codified standards. Why silver sits at the center? 5 straight annual deficits. Industrial demand above 700 million ounces. PV cells still need 9.6 to 15 milligrams per watt. 2024 solar cells consumed 8,600 tons, 28% of global supply. Silver is mostly a byproduct, making supply slow to respond. It's not on the official U.S. critical minerals list, but in practice, it's non-negotiable. Whether or not a grand solar minimum arrives, the policy reaction is already here. Reserves, controls, programmable money, and prioritized access to metals, especially silver. The more we understand the why and the when, the harder it is for the playbook to run unseen.